Hello, my name is Derek Harris, and I'm doing a poetry project on a poet named John Berryman for my English 291 class. Enjoy. Let's get into the life of Mr. John Berryman. He was born in 1914 in a little town in Oklahoma. Surprisingly enough, he watched his father shoot himself at the young age of 12. Pretty traumatizing, if I do say so myself. Thus, the poems he created centered around the idea of darkness and death. It created a sad, almost sorrowful tone to how he wrote. Let's talk about more of the life of John Berryman, just so we can get an idea of who and how he was throughout his adult life as well. John Berryman, he graduated from Columbia and then went on to Cambridge, two very elite schools. What's cool about him, he also taught at Harvard and Princeton. These are two Ivy League schools well known for their high-esteemed education. He was also a beloved faculty member at the University of Minnesota, where he taught until the day he died, actually, which he died in 1972, which is actually fairly recent for people that create poetry, of course. Now, if we want to get into the influences of John Berryman, there were obviously more than three. However, I just want to talk about three in general. These three were possibly the biggest, at least in my opinion. We look at Walt Whitman, Hart Crane, and W.H. Auden, three other just poetry masters. We'll look at the idea of Walt Whitman and W.H. Auden in particular. These two gentlemen focused on the idea of a realistic value. Their poems created a realistic feeling while talking about realistic themes. Now, John Berryman wasn't necessarily known for his realistic value. He may have been, but when I read these poems, I feel the sense of a realistic tone and value within how he talks. So we'll get into Dream Song 1. Now, to put a little bit of perspective on the idea of Dream Song is a list of about 77 poems. They're individual poems with the same ideas, concepts, and themes, and they transpire into one unit called a Dream Song. Now, for his Dream Song, a collection of these poems, he won the Pulitzer Prize and a National Book Award as well. So let's get into the Dream Song 1. Huffy Henry hid the day. Unappeasable Henry sulked. I see his point. A-trying to put things over. It was the thought that they thought. They could do it more Henry, wicked and away. But he should have come out and talked. All the world like a woolen lover. Once did seem on Henry's side, then came a departure. Thereafter nothing fell out as it might or ought. I don't see how Henry Pride, open for all the world to see, survived. What he has now to say is a long wonder the world can bear and be. Once in a sycamore I was glad, all at the top, and I sang, hard on the land where's the strong sea, and empty grows every bed. Now I want to look at that last line there. Within the context of many of the Dream songs, he promotes the idea of sadness, or even death, for instance. Empty grows every bed, meaning whoever this person is, whether it be Henry or somebody else, they didn't return home. They didn't go to bed. Where are they? They're not found. Are they dead? Are they presumed dead? So that would be the Dream Song 1. That's just one example. Next idea is the Dream Song 14. Now, none of these are they're at least in order by number, but they're not in order. I didn't want to come and sit here and talk about all 77. We're just going to leave the 4, maybe the most important, at least in my opinion. Let's go with the Dream Song 14. Life, friends, is boring. Okay, let's just stop there real quick. Life is boring. Life is meaningless. If you witnessed your father or mother or somebody of dear importance to you get shot, at the age of 12, maybe life would be boring too. There's not a lot of hope, there's not a lot of joy, there's maybe nothing to aspire to. But you can write, and that's what John Berryman did. We must not say so. After all, the sky flashes, the great sea yearns. We ourselves flash and yearn, and moreover my mother told me as a boy, repeatedly, ever to confess you're bored means you have no inner resources. My mom actually told me that if I was ever bored, there's always chores to do. Thus, I tried to find something more important to use my time with instead of having to clean again or something. I conclude now I have no inner resources because I'm heavy bored. Peoples bore me. Literature bores me, especially great literature. Henry bores me with his plights and gripes, as bad as Achilles, who loves people and valiant art, which bores me. And the tranquil hills and gin look like a drag, and somehow a dog has taken itself and its tail considerably away into mountains or sea or sky, leaving behind me Wag. Again we see the idea of Henry. Why is Henry so important to these dream songs? Dream Song 20, another important dream song. When worst got things, how was you? Steady on. Wheeling or shocked. Her. And you have been bad to your friend. Who not you writing to, you have not listened. Pelican of lies. You loosed. Who, where are you? Down weeks of evenings of longing, by hours now, a stoned bell. You did somebody. Others you hurt short. Anyone ever did you do good? You licking your own old hurt? What? And even kneel and add the door. This is human. Hurl. God who found us in this, down something. We hear the more sin has increased, the more grace has been caused to abound. This poem is almost contradictory in itself. It kind of has the idea of an ambiguous meaning. And one thing I found interesting was a pelican of lies. He uses a bird to show the idea that there's a lot of lies. There's a great number of lies. A plethora, almost, is how I would say it. But no matter, he almost seems contradictory, saying, when sin increases, grace has a bound. Two ideas that somehow contradict each other. Now, Dream Song 29. This might be the most important of all of his dream songs. For the message he presents, the realistic value he has, and even a consistent standard as well. So let's begin with the Dream Song 29. There sat down once a thing on Henry's heart so heavy, if he had 100 years and more, and weeping, sleepless, and all them time, Henry could not make good. Starts again always in Henry's ears, a little cough somewhere, an odor, a chime. And there's another thing he has in mind, like a grave Siamese face 1,000 years would fail to blur the still profiled reproach of. Ghastly, with open eyes he attends blind. All the bells say, too late, this is not for tears, thinking. But never did Henry, as he thought he did, end anyone, and hacks her body up, and hide the pieces where they may be found. He knows he went over everyone and nobody's missing. Often he reckons in the dawn, them up. Nobody is ever missing. Once again we see the idea of death, and more gruesome, more malice approach to it, hacking up somebody's body, and scattering it around so it can't be found by anybody. Kind of a scary approach to another malice form of a poem. But the complexities within this poem, once again, they may seem ambiguous, but also very deep as well. That's how he presented his dream songs, where 3 paragraphs, concise, but definitely deep. So that'd be the Dream Song 29. And my thoughts considering these dream songs. He always felt sad within the context, with the tone of his story, whether he contradicts himself, whether he acts more from a realistic value, always feels that idea of sadness or bored, as described in one of his dream songs. Death was an overwhelming theme. Once again, we saw that in a person's body getting chopped up. And more importantly, we see the idea of Henry Just the name Henry. We study his poems for their realist value and the consistent standard. Like I said before, there may have been a realistic value to the way he constructed these poems. Walt Whitman and Auden were both very good at this idea, but was he as well? A few questions pop up there. But he was also consistent. Never seemed happy, never joyful throughout his dream songs. He portrayed himself as depressed, sad, sorrowful, presented the idea of death as an inevitable idea. Leads me to, was he crazy? Would he be considered crazy? From a cultural norm standard, would he be considered crazy? I don't want to say crazy, because that seems like a hurtful word in a sense. Was he traumatized? Yes. Thus, did that make him brilliant? Possibly as well. The last idea was comedy relief. Was there an idea of satire within the theme of his poems? He was almost blunt in the way he spoke. He was definitely sad, which would be contradictory to the idea of comedy relief. But as you read those poems, was there any sort of comedy relief or satire ideas within the context of the dream songs in general? Thus, I will go in and make my own dream song. As you can see, it has 3 paragraphs. Most of his dream songs they were concise, brought to you in 3 paragraphs. Thus, I made mine in 3 paragraphs. Now, if you look over to the top right corner, we see the dream song, yes, and then a massive number, 4,768,231,893. This is just to signify that the dream song was comprised of mini poems, 77 or so, and 4 billion in representation is just the idea of saying, yes, there are a ton of these, I'm sorry, but here's another one. So let's begin with this dream song. How do we adapt to this world, its gnashing of teeth, its vain deceit? Yet we do not listen. Shots fired, all around us. You still don't listen. Humankind at its best. We are blinded to the corruptness of this world. This world is dark, secretive, nature of tricks. Literature is dead. We will not prevail. I wanted to add the idea of death, literature having little to no importance, or at least boring him, at least a little bit, the sense of a dark tone, possible sadness, and the idea that death is inevitable to the idea of humankind. We cannot surpass it, we can't become immortal, at least to what we know. Thus, in 3 paragraphs, I wanted to describe exactly what John Berryman tries to describe in most, if not all, of his dream songs as well. Thank you for watching.